everyone. uh, Thank you, Dialogues, for having us here. Thank you, Sanjay, Ridhima. Uh, since the topic is rethinking architecture, I thought today I'll take this opportunity to more come from our thoughts on the way we see our role in the practice. So the title, in a way, kind of picks up this idea that over time, as you know, we've been working, we found ourselves, it's a learning that's come our way. And we are more and more kind of moving away from the deterministic model, the classic model of how you expect an architect to kind of drive everything and his instructions to be followed to the T. And we are discovering a lot of collective genius that adds up as we build a process around taking a larger group of stakeholders along. And I'm going to try and use some of our projects to talk about it further. We've been working in a country where there's this constant sense of continuity and change simultaneously, which is what India stands for. And in a way, for us, I've used this idea of agency becoming agency being provided by listening, and that's something that we've learned a lot through our projects, where we feel that today, it's not the ability to kind of hold a singular vision, but the capacity to align people, align resources, align time, and in a way, that's what I mean by stewardship, carrying forward, caring for what already exists, and gently shaping it for what's coming next and creating a future with it. So, in the studio, we are really working towards building this culture of active, generative force that listening provides. And I just thought today I'll leave an idea with you. And of course, I mean, some of our projects are picked up, and these are evolving ideas for us as a practice as we kind of nurture ourselves with these projects. And some of these projects that are picked up should give you glimpses of these pursuits and the outcomes we are being able to manage. Yeah. So the first project I picked up is a headquarter building we've done for Royal Enfield. It's at Chennai, and the idea was to really create an unpretentious. So we've been working with this iconic brand for a very long time. We started this journey with them ever since they kind of started changing the perception of the brand. So we've done a lot of retail environments for them. We've different kind of destination stores, and then finally we started on this R&D facility and a headquarter building in Chennai. Here, the idea was to move very fast, and we actually engaged a lot with the actual Royal Enfield engineering company, engineering teams, and we had an executing architect who was with us on the project, SN Pingle, who kind of helped us work through. So this whole building's construction process is hybrid. We worked with precast slabs. The structural system is completely metal, and a lot of in situ casting has been done, as well as there are some handcrafted elements you'll see. The facility is designed to kind of respond to this L-shaped plot that we had to work with. We've really maximized the northern and southern exposures. The circulation path, of course, acts as the fire tender movement, but also parts of it are used as a track for the motorcycle testing ground, for the newly designed motorcycles. The design approach for the building we took creates an honest expression without any extraneous details trying to conceal the mechanics of it. We've worked with Mangalore roofing tiles clamped between these stressed cables that you can see. These act as shading devices for most of the corridors and circulation spaces. The building edge is lined up with planters, and which cools the air as it kind of moves through these louvers and brings it into the corridors. Again, from a vernacular influence, we've worked with local red oxide floors. The entire ground plane plinth is built with basalt masonry walls. And in some way, the whole building is responding to this idea of sustainability being the core, where we managed to create a fair amount of areas which are completely cross-ventilated. So what you see in the centers are these large circulation cores, which are also courtyards, which are through and through perforated. And these are mechanical devices, can be opened and closed depending on the weather condition. The entire building, a campus is punctuated with these series of courtyards, and they serve as spillovers for public spaces. They're also the primary kind of circulation cores. We've reduced the amount of elevators required for the facility, and these allow for multiple functions to kind of fit into them. They make a comfortable environment for meetings, outdoor activities, and most of the workspaces tend to spill out into these areas as well. So by doing all of this, we managed to actually cut down the air conditioning load of the building by about 30%, which results in a substantial kind of reduction of the overall footprint, the carbon footprint of the building. The facilities interiors are, again, we've taken forward the architectural story, kept it really crisp. The structural steel, concrete blocks, vacuum dewatered floors, and we've also managed to really immaculately kind of detail out the services, which keeps the building really clean. And one of the asks of the facility was to have this possibility of driving the motorcycle all the way to any part of the workspace. So the entire building is accessible for a motorcycle to ride through. The next project I'm picking up is in an urban setting. We had this opportunity to work with an established developer in Mumbai, Godrej Properties. They kind of brought us on board when they had already made a plan. They had an aspiration already lined up, and we kind of plugged into it. Anubhav, who was leading the GPL team, worked very closely, and his colleagues worked very closely with us. We had a great kind of alignment with the vision. We worked on multiple projects to weave a narrative with this master plan over years. So the site is full of generators, glycerin. That's how we found it, with glycerin plants and large silos spread around. We kind of brought them back into our narrative. The intent was to weave in a story and leave something that kind of builds a memory of what existed on the site for the future residents to come and kind of engage with. Some of the key elements, like the defunct chimney, became an urban marker. This is visible from the Eastern Highway, and it kind of that's what becomes the gateway to the city. It kind of pulls you into the main space, which is a connecting space to the larger mixed-use development. The old buildings were kind of repurposed. We brought in industrial kind of vocabulary, transformed the luvers to bring in this dappled light, which was actually a very interesting feature. Through the site, there are these large rain trees across the site. So when you walk around, you're always walking under these dappled light kind of patterns on the floor. Cotton steel, of course, was brought in more as an idea of something that bleeds over time and creates a sense of time, giving it an authenticity to the adaptations that we were building. And that kind of weaves in this narrative of the industrial legacy as a starting. This was our starting point. This was the main gateway that we started with. And this plaza soon started getting activated for public events. And as the site kind of evolved, we redesigned some of these portions to become into F&B spaces. This is now transformed as a F&B for serving beer. It's popularly called the beer garden. It kind of seamlessly blends into the larger landscape, attaches itself to the master plan as it has developed. We also did the residential clubhouse building, which takes off on a similar narrative. We've woven this set of cylindrical structures which are like silo-like, and created a porous edge on one of the on one of the edges, which kind of goes back to the public space. And the building itself is just a large canopy connecting all these spread out structures. So the building's meant to also have a partial connect with the commercial facility, and that's how it was designed. And then the final building that we're working on is what's marked as number 3. So we've got a very large opening in the middle of the development, which is a garden being developed as a sculpture park. And again, all these porous edges kind of meet there. We've created a node-like building, which allows for a connection. That's the primary axis. There's a hotel, there's the porous edge of the residential towers, and the commercial edge, which kind of all merge here. And this park is also going to be the heart of the property. We worked with James Connerfield team, who was working on the landscape, to merge this building into the landscape. This is yet to, this has just come up, so it's the only photograph we have of it at the moment. This project is the first government project that we've taken up. And what we really worked towards was how do we create a building which has identity as well as it serves the city. It could become, again, a public interface. And we suggested to the clients to push up all the office spaces and open up the ground plane. And to give it identity, we've taken inspiration from the local textiles. So that's the upper 2 levels and the ground plane. And then we also got the government excited to create a patronage for craft. So we worked with Shaban and Bol, and we've created these massive murals across the architectural craft expressions across the building and in various art forms. And that's how it sits in the context of the city. And then another example in a historic site in Jaipur where we were invited to do this small cafe. And the idea was to kind of build a new aspiration for the city as well as the foreign tourists. And we started by moving this one vestibule block, and we removed it, recreated a new pavilion which kind of connected the courtyards and to the main entry of the city. And in some way, our journey started by revealing what lay beneath the old architecture. We used it as a canvas, and we could actually start playing with what the discovery was. We created lounge rooms in the spaces which were utilized for other purposes. And for the main experience, we built this Baradari like pavilion, a new intervention which is deco inspired, and we worked with the local marble to carve out and almost take it to a level where it could be inlit. And this pavilion then starts having a dialogue with the old structure. We reinstituted a lot of traditional crafts from the region. We found patterns for the new floors to be put in, and that's how this becomes a new waterhole for the city. And the last project is a project that we were asked to build at the foothills of, or at the foot of this magnificent fort. And here we've tried to explore a building idea that could, kind of respond to emerging needs of a program. So we started by placing the building in the lowest point of the site, the southernmost court, which was sunken in. The entire building is perched up in the valley, allowing for the terrain to stay free. The water flows through. And for the main articulation of the building, we've actually worked with the structural system, which is dry stone and metal, and also a grid that allows us to expand and contract the building as we move ahead. So that was our initial conceptualizing, and that's the manner in which we've gone about it. And in fact, it has gone through many changes over time. So that's some of the prototypes, and the entire building is almost like an interlocking structure. And it allows us to allow for the water to go through, trees to pop out and create space for that. And we use the traditional Jali device and reinterpreted it in motifs, new motifs. And of course, the local handcraft really adds life to it. That's how it gets pushed up. And yeah, thank you.